for this beautiful session. For this session, we have a special guest and a special speaker, Dr. Ashutosh Acharya, Assistant Professor, Sai LNCP. In this session, even our respected Dr. G. Kishosa will be a panelist in this session. About Dr. Ashutosh Acharya, he is an assistant professor in physical education, Lakshmi Bai National College of Physical Education, a college run by Sports Authority of India, Government of India, Trivandrum. He has a master degree in physical education, specialization in sports psychology, beside a PhD degree in the area of sports psychology. He is an alumni of one of the eminent college in India in physical education and sports, Lakshmi Bai National College of Physical Education, Sports Authority of India, Trivandrum. He has his doctorate degree from LNIPE, Gwalior, is known as Lakshmi Bai National Institute of Physical Education. He has the distinction of holding the first rank in MPE as well as BPE from University of Kerala, Trivandrum. He is a recipient of the Junior Research Fellowship, JRF, and a Senior Research Fellowship, SRF Award by the UGC for Higher Studies. He has published number of research papers at an reputed national and international journals. He has confirmed with an Atsushi Fujita scholarship for his research contribution as an young researcher in the sixth ASPASP Sports Psychology Conference held at Taipei, Taiwan. As a life member of the Sports Psychology Association of India, he has successfully published 11 research articles in the research journals and confirmed proceedings of national and international repute. He had various academic visits to Hong Kong, Macau, and Taipei, and Sir is specialized in athletics as well as shuttle badminton. Even Sir is a university player. He has represented Kerala University in many games, especially even in wrestling also. And Sir is well versed in the sports psychology. So, on behalf of Ministry Sports Office and Sai LNCP, Khelo India, and behalf of our respected Dr. G. Kishosa, I welcome you for this session, sir. And participants, I request pay attention for Dr. Ashutosh Acharya. Today, sir is going to present a wonderful topic. So please earn whatever the knowledge he has. I hope that at the end of this session, all the participants will they carry this psychology with them also. So I request all the participants once again to pay attention for his presentations. Now I request Ashutosh Acharya sir to take over this session.
Thank you so much, Patil sir. It is indeed a pleasure once again to be present here in front of all this Augustus gathering, in front of all the physical education teachers attending this course from the nook and corner of the country. So, uh, dear participants, today we are going to discuss about a topic. I'll share my screen. Okay, no?
Yes, sir. It's
Sir, आप mute कर दीजिए. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. See, today the topic which we are going to discuss is it's about ensuring continuity in sports. In addition to that, again, we'll be learning about different ethical issues in sports in terms of sports psychology. Then what is the criteria, like how we should take decision or we should make decision in physical education and sports by taking care of all the ethical issues concerned with the sports. Sports psychology is actually the study of how psychology influences sports, athletic performance, exercise, and physical activity. Like some exercise and sports psychologists work with various professional athletes and coaches to improve their performance, and at the same time they also work with different normal individuals, like to improve their well-being, to improve their general health and fitness. But you as a physical education teacher, you as the responsible physical education teachers in schools and colleges, you are doing both the jobs. Like you are also preparing, you are taking care of the people who are participating in games and sports. At the same time, you are also working for the well-being of your own students. So today we'll discuss about how we can enhance or how we can promote the a better well-being or a healthy lifestyle amongst our students by focusing on various aspects of psychology. Today basically we're going to discuss about, first we'll talk about motivation, then we'll go for goal setting, then we'll talk about anxiety, then we'll talk about different ethical issues and how effectively we should take decision by taking care of all these ethical issues. So to start with, we are going to start from motivation. So first, before we start proceed further, हमें पहले ये पता करना पड़ेगा कि we'll have to find out what is motivation. First, let us understand the definition of motivation. So almost all of you will agree with me, like motivation is a behavior which push you towards your goal, or which generates behavior or generates movement in your body. That means to understand the complete concept of motivation, you need to understand the motivational process. So the first thing is, I mean, हम लोगों को एकदम मोटिवेशन का जो है रूट में जाना पड़ेगा. हमें मोटिवेशन का जो प्रोसेस है we'll have to understand. So the first thing is, we will be motivated to do something whenever there is a need for something, when we are lacking in something. अगर हमारे पास कुछ चीज का कमी है, जैसे कि फॉर एन एग्जांपल, आपको भूख कब लगता है, आपको आई मीन व्हेन यू आर feeling hungry, that means you need food. That means there is a need of food in your bodies, which creates a tension, or which creates a kind of scarcity in your body, and that organizes your behavior, and that creates a drive in your body, which is called as hunger, जिसको हम hunger बोलते हैं. And once you need food, you feel hungry, and once you feel hungry, you will start going for food. You will maybe आप लोग दुकान में जाके कुछ खरीद के लाएंगे वहां से, then you'll start eating, or you go to your home, you start cooking your food and you start having it on your own. So my point is, whenever we are talking about motivation, the motivation is generated only when in your body there is a scarcity or there is a lack of something, and that lack of something will cause tension in your body, which will direct you towards a specific behavior, and this behavior or that behavior will continue until and unless your target goal is achieved. So this is what is your all motivational process is all about. Or motivation क्या है? Motivation is nothing but just a behavior which directs, or motivation is a process which organizes your behavior towards a particular goal. Now we have understood what is motivation. Now let us find out how many types of motivations are there. This is many of my physical education friends, who are there in different schools, even different colleges. When we sit together, like we have a discussion like how to motivate the school children. How to motivate children so that they come and participate in games and sports. उनको हम motivate कैसे करेंगे? So उनको मोटिवेट करने का जो प्रोसेस है उस पे हम लोग थोड़ा बाद में जाएंगे. फर्स्ट लेट अस फाइंड आउट हाउ मेनी टाइप्स ऑफ मोटिवेशंस आर देयर. So basically, there are three different types of motivation. First one is extrinsic motivation, then next one is intrinsic motivation, and third one is motivation. So extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation, as the name suggests, extrinsic means when your behavior or whenever your behavior is controlled by something which is not inside your body. Like for an example, if you are doing some kind of physical activity or sports to achieve a gold medal, then that is your extrinsic motivation. If you are participating in sports to get a job, that is again your extrinsic motivation, because the main motive or the main reason why you are participating in that sports is lying outside your body. That means your behavior is controlled by by a factor which is not inside your body. So that is why this kind of motivations is called as extrinsic motivation. Now we'll move on to the second part of motivation, second type of motivation rather, which is called as intrinsic motivation. And in intrinsic motivation, it is just opposite of your extrinsic motivation. And in intrinsic motivation, what happens? The main control or the organization of behavior or that force lies within you. Suppose like every morning when I get up, like I see many of my friends, many of my colleagues, they go for morning physical activity. So that kind of physical activity, they doing it, I mean, they are not going to get any incentives or any awards or maybe certificates for that kind, that kind of behavior. But still, every morning, हर सुबह वो लोग आते हैं, अपना workout करते हैं, gym जाते हैं, and after that they go back. So my point here is, the reason why they are doing or they are indulging themselves in this kind of physical activity is lying within themselves, inside themselves. That means they feel happy or they enjoy in participating in such kind of physical activities. So that is why when the motivational reason or when the reason for participating in any kind of physical activity lies well within yourself, that kind of motivation is called as intrinsic motivation. Now we have understood what is motivation, we understood the motivation process, we understood what is extrinsic motivation, intrinsic motivation. Now let us find out what is amotivation. Amotivation क्या होता है? Amotivation is something, the wherein the behavior will not be present. आप ये सारे आंसर होंगे. The concept of amotivation will be an understanding or will be a boost to those physical education, my fellow physical education teachers who are wondering or trying to find out why some people are not participating in physical activity effectively. So the reason this amotivation is, in this case you will not see any kind of behavior. That means your student is neither motivated, neither intrinsically motivated nor extrinsically motivated. That means there is no exact reason for why he should be participating or he or she should be participating in any kind of physical activity. That is called as your amotivation. Okay, now अभी हम लोग we understood what is motivation, we understood different types क्या होते हैं motivation के. Now let us move to the point कि हम लोग जो बच्चे हैं या जो स्टूडेंट हैं उनको मोटिवेट कैसे करेंगे. How can we motivate our own students so that they come and participate in regular physical activity. So there are different guidelines. There are 5 different guidelines which you can follow to create motivation among your students or to motivate your students so that they come down and participate in your regular physical activity. So the first guideline is consider both situation and traits in motivating people. See, देखिए ये जो चीज है, ये जो पहला गाइडलाइन है, इसमें हम लोग थोड़ा सा गलती करते हैं when we are leveling somebody that he is motivated or he is not motivated or she is motivated or she is not motivated to participate in physical activity. So in this particular situation, the physical education teacher should consider both the situational factors as well as the personality characters of that characteristics of an individual, and analyze and respond to both personal situations and characteristics as well as the personality traits. So by addressing the situation and by addressing the personality traits, that we should consider that whether a student is motivated or why a student is not motivated to participate in games and sports. So when we are trying to find out or reason out why a student is not motivated to participate in sports, we should take consideration both the personality aspect of an individual and situation aspect of an individual. That is the first guideline or the first step that a physical education teacher must follow to to motivate children to participate in games and sports. Now the second guideline is you need to understand people's multiple motives of involvement. Some people I have seen, the reason why they participate in physical activity and sports. I have also seen some of my students who all are very good in sports. If they in the intercollegiate or in inter-university competition, they do really good. But at the same time, they don't want to continue, they don't want to take up sports as a profession. So in that case, you have to understand, the physical education teacher has to understand that what are the different motives, and there may be more than one motives why a student or why a child should be participating in physical education and sports. So all the possible motives that are involved has to be found out, and this is the basic responsibility of a physical education teacher. And now the third guideline is change the environment to enhance the motivation. So in this case, I would like to cite one example which I was a part of. During my college days, we used to go for rigorous physical training at morning, then again in the evening. So what happens, when you give, आप जब इस तरह का ट्रेनिंग शेड्यूल बना देते हैं आपके बच्चों के लिए, again every morning training, then evening में भी ट्रेनिंग कराते हैं, तो क्या होता है, धीरे धीरे आगे चल के ना ये ट्रेनिंग बड़ा मोनोटोनस हो जाता है. मतलब धीरे वो बच्चा उसमें बोर फील करना शुरू कर देता है. तो तभी क्या करना चाहिए, आपको उसमें जो एनवायरनमेंट में थोड़ा चेंज आना चाहिए. आई मीन जैसे कि फॉर एन एग्जांपल वन ऑफ माय कोच वाज देयर, यू नो, ही यूज्ड टू टेक अस maybe for sand running to the beach side, or maybe once in a week he used to make us play some recreation game. You know, by this what happens, the interest of an individual is intact, and he is interested, he is equally interested to participate in the physical activity or in the sports training. Now, fourth guideline is influence motivation. That means the action and behavior of a physical education teacher will impact the motivation of the players directly or indirectly. That means being a physical education teacher, you have to be very fit. You have to be the role model of your students. Because when a student, जब एक स्टूडेंट आपके अंडर ट्रेनिंग करता है तो धीरे धीरे वो खुद का जो पर्सनालिटी है वो आपके द्वारा कंट्रोल हो जाता है उसका. तो इसीलिए what you have to do is you have to be very careful that you follow a very ethical way of coaching. You follow because what happens, the students consider the coach as a role model of them. Then the fifth guideline is use behavior modification techniques to change undesirable participant motives. This is a technique which can be used by the help of a psychologist. So to use these techniques, all these physical education teacher can also seek the help of a sports psychologist. Now, this is all about motivation. We have understood what motivation is. We have understood different types of motivation. Again, we understood what are the different guidelines, what are the 5 guidelines that we need to follow to motivate the students to participate in physical activity. Now we'll move on to the next part of our this presentation, which is called as goal setting. See, this goal setting is very much essential in sports. This goal setting is nothing but channelizes all your behavior towards a particular goal, right? So what happens, अगर हमें कोई बोलता है कि मतलब आप physical activity करिए, but I mean every day, morning, evening, every day you come for physical sports training. But the reason is, if the reason or the goal or the complete outcome is not made clear to the student, then what will happen? He will continue for a month or two, and after that he will be bored, and ultimately he will give up, right? So this goal setting is very much essential, because this streamlines your training, and this will give you direction, or this goal setting gives the direction to an athlete towards achieving excellence in sports. Again, goal setting, हम लोग goal setting कैसे करते हैं वो जानने से पहले we will have to find out what are the different types of goals. यहाँ पे different there are 3 different types of goals. First one is process goals, second one is performance goal, third one is outcome goal. See, ये जो outcome goal है, the one which you can see, the box which you can see at the extreme right side of your screen, that is called as outcome goal. See, the outcome goal is the ultimate goal which you want to achieve. Like suppose for me, if you ask me what is my ultimate ultimate goal, what is my outcome goal, I can say that my outcome goal is I want to achieve a gold medal in World Championship. That is my outcome. Like I know that is the goal which I am not going to achieve immediately. But to achieve that goal, to achieve that ultimate goal of achieving a gold medal in World Championship, I'll have to work hard. I'll have to go for training. Maybe I'll have to go for training for continuously for a year or so. Then I'll have to develop my strength. I'll have to develop my speed. I'll have to develop my fitness, my endurance. So there are many things which I need to achieve before achieving my ultimate goal of achieving a gold medal in World Championship. So the small goals, that help me to achieve my performance goal. Those small goals are called as process goals. That means, suppose I want to, I'm keeping a goal to myself, like within a month I should be able to do 125 kilo 5 bench press. So that is like all those small goals which contribute to the outcome goal, to the ultimate goal, is called as your process goals. Performance goals means before achieving your ultimate goal, there are like various other small goals to be achieved. Like to achieve a medal in, or even to participate in the World Championship, I need to achieve a gold medal in the national meet. I need to achieve a gold medal in state meet. So these are the small goals which is helping me ultimately to achieve my outcome goal, and those are called as your performance goal, right? So goals are of 3 different types. First one is process goal, second one is performance goal, and third one is outcome goal. Abhi, we have understood what goal setting is, we have understood what goal is. We have understood how many types of goals are there. There are three different types of goals. Now let us find out what are the different principles of goal setting, right? So for goal setting, there are again different principles, and all those principles we'll discuss one by one. First one is set specific goals. That means what many of the times what I have seen is the physical education teachers or maybe the trainers, what they do is they, like, for an example, if I am a trainer, if I go to a trainer, go to a coach, if I'm a, suppose if I'm an athlete and go to a coach, my coach says हम लोगों को इस साल गोल्ड मेडल जीतना है स्टेट वेट में. But this is a very broad goal. This is a very vague goal, But when I say my athlete that yes, this year we are going to achieve a gold medal with this much of performance, yes, now everything is specific. Now what should be my performance? What is the medal that is targeted? Everything has been made clear. So whenever you are, preparing a goal for a student, make sure that the first step of the goal setting principle is set specific goals, right? Second one is set moderately difficult but realistic goals. See, in this principle, the role of physical education teacher is not very easy. It's difficult because you have to set a goal which is not very easy so that it can be achieved very easily. Neither it is very tough that it can never be achieved, right? So as a physical education teacher, you have to help your athlete to understand the ability. First, you need to understand your own ability, then make your athlete understand his ability. Then on the basis of the ability of your athlete, on the basis of the need of the game, you need to finalize, you need to find out a goal or a target which is moderately difficult, but at the same time it is also realistic. That means it is also achievable. Now the next principle of goal setting is set long and short term goals. As I told you, whenever you are preparing or whenever you are helping your athlete to to prepare goals for himself, you should also have goals, short term goals. Maybe you can say that your monthly goals, like a long term goals, or a year goal, yearly goal. So in monthly goals, will give you a feedback, like how long you have or how far you have improved or what has been your progress in order to achieve the long term goals, right? So whenever you are preparing any different kind of goals for your athlete, make sure that you include both the things, both the short term goals and as well as the long term goals. Next principle is set performance, process as well as outcome goals. All these things I have just told you in the previous slide. So we'll just skip this principle, then we'll go to the next principle. Set practice and competition goals. Yes, this is very important because I am a person, like I was a discussed over during my days of athletic performance. So I know the performance during the practice completely varies with the competition during the with the performance during the competition, right? So that is why a coach has to, or a trainer or a physical education teacher has to understand the demand of the competition, has to understand the demand of the practice, and should set a goal for the practice as well as for the competition. But one thing I would like to tell you here is, when you are setting goal, or setting goal for the practice, setting goal for the competitions, set the goal that you have set for the practice can be more than the goal that you have set for the competition, for the athletes who has a competition fear. How to deal with the competition fear, that we'll discuss in the in the next slides. Then next principle is record the goals. See, when you are recording the goals, what will happen is you will get an idea like what your goal is. Every day, what are the things that you are doing to achieve that goal, and what has been your progress. Like, this will give a general idea to your athlete as well as to yourself, like what has been your what was your goal that you have set, and how far you have progressed, and how much you need to improve. See, all to get all the a better idea regarding all these things, you need to record your goals. Next point, develop goal achievement strategies. See, many of the things, many of the times I have seen like this. Many coaches, they are very good coaches, very well-known coaches, or very well-known physical education teachers. They help all they are the very good trainers. They help their athletes to achieve medals at national level, state level, even at international level. But the a mistake what they do is, while going for goal setting, the mistake is they just say that, okay, this is what you have to achieve. Like, I have to achieve that goal, how your athlete has to proceed about achieving his goal and goals on all those things. See, there has to be a strategy. So that strategy has to be made clear so that your athletes achieves his goal without any disturbance. Next is consider the participant's personality and motivation. Yeah, this is very important. Many of the times, this happens that the goal which a physical education teacher sets, he sets that goal. वो क्या करते हैं ना, वो गोल खुद के लिए बनाते हैं. वो गोल खुद के लिए उन्होंने बना लिया. जैसे कि मैं अगर कोई स्कूल में टीचर हूँ, मेरे सर के ऊपर ये है कि नहीं, आप इतने साल हो गया स्कूल में ज्वाइन किए, आपने एक अच्छा एथलीट प्रोड्यूस नहीं किया है, आप इस बार अगर मेडल नहीं लाएंगे तो आपको हम नौकरी से निकाल देंगे. See, if this is if there is a pressure, if there is a mental pressure like this on the coach or on the physical education teacher, then for him now the importance is the medal for him. But this is wrong. For a physical education teacher, the athlete has to be the most important thing, or the student has to be has to be the most important thing, right? So the goal that you are going to set should not be your goal, right? The goal which you are going to set has to be the goal of your own student by considering his personality and his level of motivation. So this point you have to remember, that the goal that you are going to set is not your goal, rather it is the goal of the student. So you consider the personality level or the motivational level of your student, and on the basis of that you can go for goal setting. Next one is foster an individual's goal commitment. Yes, you have to regularly check that whether how committed your athlete is towards the goal that which he has set. And this goal commitment is very much essential, because the goal which has been set is not your goal, it is the goal of the athlete, right? And once you can just realize him that is his goal, and the goal which has been set for his own betterment, then definitely the individual will be committed, and the end result will be really motivating. Provide goal support, then provide evaluation and feedback about the goals. Now suppose like you have set a goal for an athlete, like a long-term goal you have set for 1 year, right? So every month you can just call for a feedback meeting, wherein you give feedback to your athlete. You talk to him, you tell him that how far he was expected to achieve, and how far he has achieved, and how long he has to proceed further, or he has to improve further. So all these are the principles of the goal setting. Now see, now you just focus on the diagram which is shown on the left hand top corner of your slide. See, the original goal and the ultimate goal, see, there is a difference between the original goal and the ultimate goal. Why? What happens? Because you have fixed up a goal for your athlete. Now during the process, what happens? He suddenly got injured, or maybe for an example, he suddenly suppose you got a very good athlete in 11th standard, but next year when he goes to 12th standard, because of study and all those mental pressure, he could not come for regular training. So in that case, during that time, what happens? His physical ability or all his training, all everything is absent. So thereby what happens? His physical ability or his performance ability goes down. So there you need not to be demotivated as a coach or a trainer or as a physical education teacher. Then what you have to do is, when he comes back for training, or when he is available again for training, तभी आपको क्या करना है, उनका जो ओरिजिनल गोल था आप उसको रीवैल्यूएट करेंगे, आप उसको एडजस्ट करेंगे, एडजस्ट करके अगेन आप क्या करेंगे, उस गोल के थोड़ा नीचे लाके आपको गोल सेटिंग करना पड़ेगा. तो ये जो इंजरी है या जो एब्सेंट फ्रॉम ट्रेनिंग है, इससे आपको डरना नहीं है. देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन टू बी डिमोटिवेटेड. What you can do is, you can always change your goal. Again, you have to start from little. Suppose you have fixed up a goal for achieving state medal. Now you can bring it down to achieving like a district medal, or maybe again slowly you have to proceed, and again the ultimate goal will be higher than the original goal. Okay, the next thing that we are going to discuss is attentional focus or concentration. देखिए यहाँ पे जो concentration है ना, ये बहुत बार ऐसा हुआ है कि सर ये बता दो हमारे एथलीट कैसे कंसंट्रेट कर पाए. सर माय एथलीट इज नॉट able to concentrate. Sir, please teach us some techniques, whereby my athlete can concentrate more in his games and sports. See, this concentration or paying attentional focus is not that easy, right? See, first, to understand what concentration is, we need to or what attentional focus is, we need to understand the concept of concentration, right? See, now like there are maybe around 2000 students attending my class. So when you are attending my class, my point is, when you are attending my class, there are so many other things happening around you, but you are paying attention to whatever things I am saying, right? So that means when you are attending to any kind of information which is available to you, that is called as concentration, right? So there may be so many things, like I am teaching you now, like I'm presenting these slides in front of you right now, but I am trying to focus what is displayed, or what has to be delivered to you, right? There are many things, like there is a light on, there are some people outside, they are talking, that the fan is, moving. So there are so many things happening around me, right? But when I am attending to a particular information which is sent to me, or which is received by my brain, that is called as concentration, right? So concentration is the ability to maintain focus or relevant environmental cues. When the environment changes rapidly, attentional focus must also change rapidly. There are again the concentration also can be divided into different parts, different types rather, on the basis of width, broad and narrow. On the basis of direction, it is external and internal. So this is all about your concentration. Now we have understood concentration. Now let us find out, like whenever you go to a doctor, no, आप जब डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं तो डॉक्टर को जाके हम सीधा ऐसे नहीं बोलते हैं कि सर आप मुझे ये प्रॉब्लम हुआ है, मेडिसिन दे दो, तो डॉक्टर हमें फटाक से मेडिसिन नहीं दे देते हैं। वो क्या करते हैं, फर्स्ट व्हाट दे डू इज दे विल आस्क यू टू गो फॉर अ टेस्ट। आपको बोलेंगे कि आप जाके ये पहले टेस्ट कराओ, टेस्ट का रिजल्ट आएगा, उसका वैल्यू वो लोग फिर उसको डायग्नोस करेंगे, डायग्नोस करने के बाद आपका जो प्रॉब्लम क्या है उसको फाइंड आउट करेंगे, देन ओनली द डॉक्टर विल प्रोवाइड यू सम मेडिसिन। सो सिमिलरली जो लोग मुझे पूछते हैं, या जिन लोगों के मन में ये क्वेश्चन है कि मेरे एथलीट को कैसे कुछ टेक्निक्स बता दिया जाए, सो दैट माय एथलीट्स आर एबल टू concentrate or focus effectively, to them I would like to say, rather than finding out some techniques for improvement of concentration, first you need to find out what is the problem. You need to go to the root of the problem. So let us find out what are the different attentional problem that an athlete has to come across. See, basically, that there are many attentional problems, but on the basis of the source, they can be divided into two types. First one is internal distractors. Second one is external distractors. But see, the second one, that is external distractors, that I have put in red mark. That means we are not going to discuss on that today, because you have no control over the distractors, over the external distractors. Like for an example, when you are going out to bat in a stadium, the noise of the spectators, you don't have any control on that, right? The environment, you don't have any control on that. So these are the external distractors, or the external factors which cause disturbances in your concentration ability, and on which you do not have much control. So that is why today we won't discuss about external distractors, rather we'll focus on different internal distractors. Okay, the first one, attending to past events. Attending to past events means, I'll give you an example, then it will be very clear. Suppose for an example, I am a triple jumper, right? So what happened last year when I was doing the triple jump? So after hopping, when I landed, when I was just proceeding for my step, I got a very bad ankle twist, and my ankle was injured. I took rest for 2-3 months. Then after that, I recovered, did training. Again, this year I came back to participate. Now, you tell me frankly, this year again, when you are going to approach, when you are going to hop, and you are going to go for step. So during that time, if any thought of your last year's performance comes into your mind, then definitely there is a very high chance that you will again be injured. That means this is a thing which has happened in the past, which has affected your sports, and you are still thinking over it. You are still not able to come out of it, and all those things, my friends, will definitely affect your athlete's performance. If you find out that your athlete is attending to past events, how you will find out, that I'll tell you later. Attending to past events, then definitely you need to talk to him. If you consider that situation is severe, you please take a help of a psychologist. Next one is attending to future events. Yes, attending to future events is also not equally bad, right? For an example, if I am going to, suppose I am a discus thrower, when I am going to throw, this happened with me also. Like when I was doing discus throw in Kerala University Intercollegiate, so I was still first 3 throws, I was leading, right? I was leading means I was in gold medal position. So what I did, I started thinking about, when I went for my 4th chance, I started thinking about that immediately after the competition, I am going to win. I will be given gold medal, a certificate, people will be appreciating me. But what happened? All my remaining 3 throws were foul. I thrown outside of the landing area. But what happened? From the first place, I went down to third place, right? So this attending to future events also is equally bad for your athlete. So that is why attending to past events as well as attending to future events are considered to be internal distractors. Choking under pressure, yes, you know it. Choking under pressure means when you are not able to handle the demand of the competition, or you have the ability to win a competition, but again, at the same time, you are not able to handle the competition demand, and you developed a pressure-like situation on your own self, and ultimately you have lost the match. That is what is called as choking under the pressure. Then over analyzing body mechanics, that like being over concerned about your skills, about your body movements. Then fatigue, of course, if you are tired, then definitely your psychological ability will be affected, your ability to concentrate will be impaired. You will not be able to concentrate in any of your sports or any of your activities actively. Okay, and the last one is inadequate motivation. So these are the attentional problems. These are the internal distractors that we have discussed right now. We understood what is concentration. We understood what is different attentional problems. Now, what are the solutions? How can we deal with? Now it is the time for medicine. Okay, we have understood the concept of the problem. We found out what is the problem. Now it is the time for medicine. Now let us find out what are the different techniques that an individual can use to enhance the concentration. See here, the self-talk. You might have seen many of the people. You might have seen that. You must be knowing the Russian pole vaulter Yelena Isnibayeva. Whenever she goes for a jump, or whenever she goes for a vault, she talks to her pole, right? So that is, I mean, she talks to herself. There are many athletes which I have seen. They talk to himself. They talk to herself. So what they talk. See, this is. I mean, when the pressure is much, when the demand is very high, and you are not able to cope with it, so that time what happens? Your concentration, your ability to focus on the game is impaired, right? So how you should use, how you can enhance your concentration? By self-talk or by talking to yourself. Uh, See, if you see the first example, a lady is just going to receive a tennis shot and he missed it. I mean, she missed it. So there are two ways you can express this self-talk to yourself. There is a positive way, which is called as positive self-talk. There is a negative way, which is called as negative self-talk. So the first sentence is, "What an idiot I am! I will never win now." So this kind of sentence, when you are saying this kind of sentence to your own self, you are putting yourself into anger. You are feeling hopelessness. Your muscle tension is rather increased. Thereby, you will never be able to concentrate better. Rather, your performance will go down, and ultimately you will lose the match. But at the same time, in the same case, if you tell yourself that focus your eyes, keep your eyes on the ball, this match is not over yet. That means there is a chance of coming back, right? So by doing so, by giving yourself positive self-talk, you are improving your concentration. You are becoming more optimistic, and you are trying to develop a sense of calmness within yourself. So this will help you what? This will help you to enhance the concentration. This will help you to focus better, focus much more in your performance, right? So you should, as a physical education teacher, should promote the positive self-talk, or the positive kind of sentences to your students, and you should motivate them. You should tell them how they should be always talking positive things or to themselves during the match. See, there are numerous methods of enhancing concentration. But why I have chosen only these 8 techniques of enhancing concentration? Because I know in schools, and in normal schools or in government schools, I mean, purchasing an equipment of 40-50 lakhs is never feasible, right? But these are the techniques. These 8 are the techniques for which you do not need any kind of equipments, any kind of instruments as such, right? So these are the things which can be done by on your own without any equipment, and at the same time they are also cost effective, right? So let us find out what is the meaning of use of simulation practice, right? This use of simulation practice, many of the physical education teachers, they might have used, but they maybe few of them might be unaware about this term, but everybody has used it. For an example, if I am a physical education teacher, my long jumper, my trainee or my student, he has a fear for the competition, right? He has the ability to win the medal, but he has a fear for the competition. Thereby, what happens whenever he goes for a competition, whenever he goes for a jump, before attempting or before actually physically doing it, psychologically he has lost the game. So to help him, what I can do is I need to expose him to a competition, to a situation or to a scenario which is equivalent to the competition. That means I can arrange some of his friends, I can arrange some of his seniors, I can ask them to cheer up, to make noise, to so that a competition like scenario is created. So what will happen when your athlete goes for actual competition? That situation or that competition scenario will not be new for your athlete, right? So thereby his ability to concentrate will be much better. He can achieve a better result. Use keywords. Use keywords means whenever like you are trying to motivate your athlete, or you can tell your athlete that you have to find out what are the words or what are the phrases that motivates him most. So you have to promote, you have to tell him that he should keep saying that words to himself. He can just say that say those phrases to himself. Thereby he is able to focus or concentrate better. Use non-judgmental thinking. Then establish routines, like whenever a person goes for a throw, how many how he should approach, how he should stand, how many breaths he should take, what should be the schedule, everything. You have to establish a routine. You have to develop a competition plan, develop eye control, monitor yourself, overlearn the skills. So these are the few different techniques one physical education teacher can use to enhance the concentration. Yes. Next, we have learned about, first we have learned about motivation, then about goal setting. Just recently, we learned about concentration. We have learned different techniques of improving concentration. Now, there is another thing which we are going to discuss is aggression. So, just one thing, forget about all these things that, forget for a moment, you forget about the definition which is shown on your screen. Just listen to me. Any behavior which you have, which targets injuring an athlete is called as aggression. That means any kind of behavior, let it be your psychological, let it be your physical, any kind of behavior that you are showing to your opponent or to your team members or to anybody with an intent of harming somebody, let him be psychologically disturbing somebody or maybe physically damaging somebody, that will be called as aggression. So whenever I am talking about aggression, first thing that has to come in your mind is the target or the focus is, or the motive behind this kind of aggressive behavior or any kind of aggressive behavior is to cause harm to somebody, और किसी को हानि पहुंचाना है. मैं जब ये एग्रेशन के बारे में बात करता हूं, तभी आपको एक चीज ध्यान में रखना पड़ेगा कि एग्रेशन का मतलब यह है कोई भी बिहेवियर जो कि दूसरे को हानि पहुंचाने के लिए शो किया जाता है, उसको हम बोलते हैं एग्रेसिव बिहेवियर. Right? So as the definition क्या लिखा है? Aggression is defined as any behavior directed towards intentionally harming or injuring another living. Right? So now we'll find out what are the different types of aggression. ठीक है? ये जो ऊपर लिखा है जो assertive behavior, इसके बारे में डिस्कस हम थोड़ी देर बात करेंगे. First let us find out what is the difference between hostile aggression and instrumental aggression. फर्स्ट इज हॉस्टाइल एग्रेशन. हॉस्टाइल एग्रेशन ये एग्जांपल करने से पहले मैं आपको एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल दूंगा. फॉर एन एग्जांपल, जैसे कि अगर आप एक फुटबॉल मैच का, सपोज आई एम प्लेइंग ए फुटबॉल मैच, व्हाइल टैकलिंग द बॉल, बाय मिस्टेक माय ओपोनेंट्स लेग, he tackled me very badly, I fell down, I got some injury on my knee. So now my target is, now what happens immediately after I got some injury, I felt the pain. Now my target is not to win the game. My target is not to win the championship. My only target becomes how to injure the athlete who has injured me. जिसने मेरे पैर पे लात मारा है उसका पैर तोड़ना है मुझे. Now when your intention becomes only harming somebody, दूसरे का पैर तोड़ना, so that kind of aggressive behavior will be called as your hostile aggression. जहां की दूसरे को हानि पहुंचाना आपका इंटेंट यानी कि मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव हो जाता है, ना कि गेम जीतना. दिस इज योर हॉस्टाइल एग्रेशन. व्हेयरएज इंस्ट्रूमेंटल एग्रेशन किसको बोलते हैं? इंस्ट्रूमेंटल एग्रेशन व्हाट हैपेंस, जैसे कि आप किसी को हानि पहुंचाते हैं बट गेम जीतने के लिए, हॉस्टाइल एग्रेशन में क्या हुआ, आप गेम जीतने के बारे में भूल गए, आप किसी ने आपको मारा, आपने जाके उसको 2 थप्पड़ मार दिया. सो दैट इज योर हॉस्टाइल एग्रेशन. योर टारगेट इज नॉट टू विन द गेम, बट व्हेयरएज इन इंस्ट्रूमेंटल एग्रेशन क्या होता है, जैसे कि इन ए क्रिकेट मैच अगर मैं कैप्टन हूं तो मैं मेरे जो फास्ट बॉलर है उसको बोलूंगा कि यू गो फॉर ए बाउंसर, उसके सर पे टारगेट करके बॉल मार, क्योंकि सामने जो बैटिंग कर रहा है वो उनकी टीम का सबसे अच्छा बैट्समैन है. एक बार वो इंजर्ड हो जाएगा तो हम लोग गेम जीत जाएंगे. यहाँ पे उसको इंजुरी पहुंचाना तो मेरा एम है ही, बट माई अल्टीमेट एम इज टू विन द मैच. अगर मैं उसको हानि नहीं पहुंचाऊंगा तो मैं ये गेम नहीं जीत पाऊंगा, राइट. तो इस टाइप ऑफ एग्रेशन को बोलते हैं हम लोग इंस्ट्रूमेंटल एग्रेशन, राइट. तो हॉस्टाइल एग्रेशन क्या है, जहां पे कि ओनली एम इज टू हार्म समबडी. इंस्ट्रूमेंटल एग्रेशन क्या है, जहां पे द एम इज टू हार्म समबडी बट टू विन द मैच. ठीक है, अब ये दोनों को नाउ वी हैव अंडरस्टूड व्हाट इज हॉस्टाइल एंड इंस्ट्रूमेंटल एग्रेशन. नाउ लेट अस फाइंड आउट व्हाट इज असर्टिव बिहेवियर. आप जब अपने जो बच्चे को बोलते हैं, जैसे कि अगर कोई थ्रोअर है, वह नहीं सर थ्रोअर है मतलब थोड़ा एग्रेसिव होना चाहिए. अरे सर बॉक्सर है मतलब थोड़ा एग्रेसिव होना चाहिए. रेसलर है मतलब थोड़ा एग्रेसिव होना चाहिए. नहीं, यहाँ पे एग्रेसिव होना जरूरी नहीं है. यू आर प्रोड्यूसिंग एथलीट्स, right? We are producing sportsmen. We cannot tell them that okay, you go slap somebody, you go kick somebody to win the match. No, we cannot do that. Rather, हम लोग क्या बोलना चाहते हैं, एक्चुअली हमारा इंटेंट क्या है कि we are trying to promote the assertive behavior. Assertive behavior क्या है? We are not causing, we are not intending to harm somebody. हम किसी को हानि पहुंचाना हमारा लक्ष्य नहीं है. हमारा लक्ष्य क्या है? To win the match in an ethical way by delivering our own skills in the best possible way. ठीक है, तो इसको हम बोलते हैं assertive behavior. So there is a difference between these things. Types of aggression, there are basically 2 types, hostile and instrumental, but the aggressive behavior should not be promoted amongst our athletes. Rather, the assertive behavior should be promoted amongst our athletes. Now अभी आप पूछेंगे कि सर तो फिर ये जो बच्चे एग्रेसिव होते हैं, कुछ बच्चे होते हैं जो कि जिनको झगड़ा बड़ा पसंद है, तो even officials, there are even some officials, there are even some coaches who were found to be indulged in some kind of physical aggression with the opponents. So इसको हम prevent कैसे करेंगे, how can we prevent? So there are different ways and means to control aggression. हम कैसे aggression control कर सकते हैं? The first one is promote assertiveness, not aggressiveness among your athletes. मैं आपको इससे पहले मैंने आपको explain किया है कि हमें aggressiveness हमारे स्टूडेंट के अंदर promote नहीं करना है. Rather, we have to promote the assertive behavior amongst our students, जिसमें कि क्या होगा, बच्चे अपना स्किल पे फोकस करेंगे, अपना स्किल कैसे अच्छे से डिलीवर कर सकें उस पे फोकस करेंगे. They will know all the rules and regulations of the game. उसके अंदर all rules and regulations के अंदर रह के ऐसे बहुत अच्छे तरीके से अपने स्किल को डिलीवर करेंगे, उसको हम बोलते हैं assertiveness. तो हमें assertiveness को प्रमोट करना है, right? Now, next thing is athletes involved in aggressive acts should be severely punished. I mean, इसमें कुछ explain करने की है ही नहीं, but this is a very typical point which all the athletes, all the officials should keep in mind. और इसमें भी बहुत बार कॉन्फ्लिक्ट आता है. जैसे कि फॉर एन एग्जांपल, आप एक टीम के कोच हो और आपके जो फुटबॉल टीम के या तो बास्केटबॉल टीम के जो 2 सबसे अच्छे प्लेयर हैं, वही 2 सबसे ज्यादा इनडिसिप्लिन प्लेयर भी हैं. तो आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा उस टाइम पे, आपको कैसे एथिकली एकदम इफेक्टिव स्ट्रॉन्ग डिसीजन लेना पड़ेगा, उसके बारे में हम लोग अगले स्लाइड्स में बात करेंगे. नेक्स्ट इज coaches promoting the aggressive act should not be spared either. That means there also has to be some punishment for the coaches who are promoting those kind of aggressive behavior or indulging themselves in some kind of fight or aggressive behavior. Official aggression also should be prevented. There are many psychological skills or many coping skills to deal with aggression which can be practiced, like thought stopping, like imagery, like visualization. There are many other techniques which can be used to cope with aggression. Yeah, another thing which we are going to discuss now. As I told you initially, many people, though as I'm in field of sports science, many coaches or many trainers come to me. Many trainers come to me, saying that we have athletes, who are not able to focus. That is one side. But again, at the same time, there are many people, many athletes, many coaches, trainers, they to whom I have spoken to, they have said, sir, मेरा athlete बड़ा anxiety में होता है, बड़ा tension में आ जाता है, बड़ा pressure में आ जाता है. Sorry. तो इसको हम कैसे मैनेज करेंगे? So now to them my answer will be, now again the same thing, हमें सबसे पहले एनालाइज करना चाहिए, डायग्नोस करना चाहिए, प्रॉब्लम कहाँ है फाइंड आउट करना चाहिए, देन ओनली हमें सोल्यूशन के पास जाना चाहिए, राइट? तो ये जो एंजाइटी के बारे में, एंजाइटी या टेंशन या प्रेशर जो भी बोलिए आप, इसको इसके लिए क्या टेक्निक देना है, इसको जानने के लिए ना फर्स्ट लेट अस फाइंड आउट व्हाट इज एंजाइटी. सो एंजाइटी जो है ये होता है, दिस इज ए नेगेटिव इमोशनल स्टेट characterized by nervousness, worry and apprehension and associated with active or arousal of the body. So मैं आपको एकदम बहुत आसान तरीके से मैं आपको ये समझाऊंगा कि ये एंजाइटी तभी होता है, प्रेशर तभी होता है, वरी तभी होता है जब आपके मन में ये आता है कि आपका फिजिकल एबिलिटी, आपका जो परफॉर्मेंस एबिलिटी उतना नहीं है सो दैट यू कैन मीट द कंपटीशन, द डिमांड ऑफ द कंपटीशन. अगर मैं एक डिस्कस थ्रोअर हूँ, मेरा डिस्कस थ्रोइंग एबिलिटी है 36 मीटर, बट जिस कंपटीशन में मैं ज्वाइन किया हूँ वहां क्वालिफाई करने के लिए क्वालिफाइंग डिस्टेंस इज 42 मीटर. नाउ यू टेल मी दैट माय एबिलिटी आई नो इज 36, demand of the competition is 42. Now there is a difference of 6 meters. So now I'll be under a lot of pressure because there is an imbalance between my ability and the competition demand. ठीक है? तो इस सिचुएशन में आपका एथलीट जिस कंडीशन में आता है उसको बोलते हैं हम एंजाइटी, उसको बोलते हैं हम, कुछ लोग टेंशन बोलते हैं, कुछ लोग प्रेशर बोलते हैं, कुछ लोग वरी बोलते हैं, बट बेसिकली साइंटिफिकली इन साइकोलॉजिकल वर्ड्स वी कॉल इट एंजाइटी. लेकिन एंजाइटी भी दो तरीके के होते हैं. एंजाइटी, देयर इज वन कॉग्निटिव एंजाइटी, देयर इज वन सोमैटिक एंजाइटी. कॉग्निटिव एंजाइटी मतलब जो भी हमें जब एंजाइटी के अंदर आते हैं, जो भी साइकोलॉजिकल एंगल होते हैं एंजाइटी के, जैसे कि हम वरीड हो जाते हैं, जैसे कि हम लोग टेंशन, वी फील बैड, आई मीन वी फील वरीड, सो ये सब आता है आपके कॉग्निटिव एंजाइटी का एस्पेक्ट में. सोमैटिक एंजाइटी क्या होता है? हमारे बॉडी से पसीने छूटने लगते हैं, हार्ट बीट बढ़ जाता है, मतलब हाथ बिल्कुल ठंड पड़ जाते हैं. तो ये जितने भी हैं सारे बिहेवियर्स हैं एंजाइटी के, ये जो एस्पेक्ट है जो कि फिजिकली रिलेटेड है, इनको हम बोलते हैं सोमैटिक एंजाइटी. So anxiety दो तरीके के होते हैं, cognitive anxiety and somatic anxiety. There are even another classification of anxiety which is called as your state anxiety and trait anxiety. See, trait anxiety means what? Trait का मतलब है आप ये जो personality है, कोई जो बंदा ऐसे भी आप देखे होंगे, there are certain individuals, certain students who are anxious or who are worried by nature. कोई भी छोटे भी डिमांड आ जाए या छोटा सा सिचुएशन आ जाए लाइफ में, they become anxious, they come under anxiety. तो उसको हम बोलते हैं trait anxiety, because anxiety is a characteristics of their personality. This being anxious is already there in their personality. That means जिंदगी में कोई भी छोटा जैसे चैलेंज आ जाए तो वो anxious हो जाते हैं. That is called as trait anxiety. But state anxiety क्या है? ये temporary है. This is related to a particular situation. जैसे कि जब आप कंपटीशन में प्रैक्टिस करने जाते हैं, so before you go for practice, before you go for participating in the competition, you are worried. जब कंपटीशन खत्म हो गया, आपका वरी खत्म. इसको हम बोलते हैं state anxiety because this anxiety is temporary and related to the situation which you are exposed to. ठीक है? तो ये trait anxiety जो है, this is more or less permanent. And it is a trait, it is a characteristics or a nature of your personality, right? And the state anxiety it is temporary, right? And which changes from situation to situation. Now ये arousal and performance के बारे में ये जो relation है, ये slide जो है ये जानना बहुत जरूरी है. Why the reason is, आप देखिए ये जो बहुत सारे हमें से बहुत सारे कोचेस, ट्रेनर्स या फिजिकल एजुकेशन टीचर्स ऐसे होंगे जो सोचते होंगे सर ये बहुत टेंशन में है, मतलब अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस नहीं दे पाएगा. सर ये तो बिल्कुल पता नहीं कहाँ गायब हो गया, पूरा सुन्न सा पड़ गया, बिल्कुल उसको कुछ याद ही नहीं आ रहा है क्या टेक्निक करना है, क्या नहीं करना है. सर ये बिल्कुल परफॉर्म नहीं कर पाए. बट माय फेलो फिजिकल एजुकेशन टीचर्स, we have to understand the relationship between arousal and performance. How? So just look at this diagram which is displayed here. See, the first athlete A, right? So in zone means in that level of anxiety, he is giving his best performance. There is athlete A who is able to give his best performance when his state anxiety level is low, and at the same time there is another athlete who is able to give his best performance when his level of anxiety is optimum or at medium level. Then athlete third, the athlete C is able to give his best performance when the level of anxiety is high. So from this table, we can conclude that individuals differ in in their level of arousal and their level of best performance. So to predict their level of arousal and to predict their highest or best performance, as a coach you need to understand the psychology level of your athlete, or in which level of anxiety your athlete is able to give best performance. If he is if he is kind of athlete who gives his best performance in a low anxiety level, then you have to find out some psychological techniques which will reduce his anxiety. Again, an athlete B who is able to give his best performance in the optimum level, then you have to find out some psychological techniques which will maintain his level of anxiety at an optimum level or uh, at medium level. But an athlete C, you have to find out there are some psyching up strategies in psychology, like how to enhance his activation level so that he is ready and he can give his best performance. So do not consider that if an athlete is low in anxiety, he will give his best performance. Do not consider an athlete who is very high in anxiety will give worst performance. It depends from athlete to athlete. So these are, few anxiety reduction techniques like progressive muscle relaxation, wherein, we start relaxing each and every muscle. We contract the muscle, then we relax it, and the procedure starts from your feet towards, it follows like this: feet, your calf muscle, your quadricep, hamstring, your glutes, then your abdomens, then your chest, hands, shoulder, neck, face, and head. So this is how we progress, relaxing each and every muscle. Then breathing control. Yes, regarding breathing control, I would like to tell you there are two different kinds of breathing. One is your chest breathing, other one is your abdominal breathing. See, when you are worried, this you can just see. You can just observe your athletes or observe your trainees. You will come to know this. When an athlete is breathing from the chest, that means you be 100% sure that your athlete is going through a lot of pressure, he is under anxiety. So immediately what you should do is you should tell him to shift his breathing pattern from chest breathing to your abdomen breathing, right? So abdomen breathing is you should motivate your athlete, or you should ask your athlete to practice abdominal breathing, because abdominal breathing promotes your relaxation. Okay, and there are again biofeedback. Yes, of course, for this you need a machine which is connected to, which has electrodes, and electrodes are connected to a computer is connected to a screen, and in that screen you can see that, and the electrodes will be connected to the muscle which is tired, or different major muscles of our body, and the from the display or from the screen of your computer you can find out which muscle is relaxed, which muscle is tensed, and how we can bring the tensed muscles to normal level. And there are also different techniques like autogenic training, stress management training, hypnosis. So by doing all these things, we can reduce the level of anxiety of the athlete. Now, this thing with this we have discussed like what are the different psychological techniques that we need to understand to enhance the continuity in sports. And we discussed in that section, we discussed about your motivation, we spoke about goals, different types of goals, different principles of goal setting. We also discussed about consideration. Now we discussed about anxiety and different techniques of reducing anxiety. Now we come across to another section of this presentation, which is called as ethics and decision making. See, when we talk about ethics, now what happens if you see in the world scenario, the corruption in international sports is very high. So out of there is a study which has been conducted by an organization from Australia. They have conducted studies all over the world, and they have found out that out of their sample or out of the total number of sample they have collected, this found out 95.6% were doping cases out of including, I mean, whatever there are, different types of corruptions that can be involved, in international sports. So out of them, 95.6% were related to doping. Right? Just see what a huge number is. We talk so many things about, sportsmanship, fair participation is much better than achievement. So but see, in that scenario, within, we are trying our level best to spread all those kind of things, I mean, as to spread goodness in sports and to bring honesty and honesty in sports. But see, in that scenario also, if you see the 95.6% were doping, 2% use of insider information like influencers, the less than 3% was match fixing. Right? The same organization also has conducted a study, conducted a study all over the world, and they have just shown the result here. 80% of all sports are illegal. 80% of sports betting operators are based in, offshore jurisdictions. That means, like suppose, and if an event is happening in India, like IPL, the people or the people who all are betting, they are sitting in Dubai, right? They are not under the jurisdiction of Indian country, but still they are operating from a different part of the world. So 8,000 sports betting operators are present, actively working worldwide. $140 billion estimate of money laundered annually through sports betting, and 275 to 687 billion estimates of the scale of the international sports betting market. Now, from this, why I have presented this slide to all of you. See, from this, you can very much find out that how much this ethical, how much necessary this ethical issue has become, how effectively we should be addressing on these issues, because these things are also going to affect our sports in today or tomorrow. And very recently, if you see that this is also, everybody must be knowing this. Corruption of sports is one of the fastest growing global types of crime, and match fixing and sports betting is a convenient means of money laundering and an attractive haven for crime money. See, the incident which has happened during the IPL. See, those three players, from Rajasthan Royals, were charged. They are they had sufficient evidences against them. There were various bookkeepers who were arrested, 7 in Mumbai, 3 in Delhi, and there were lookout for 2 more in Delhi. So this is a scenario which has damaged sports in a worst possible way. And again, this is also another study, Fair Play in Sports survey. So 6 in 10 individuals, out of 10 individuals, 6 people feel that the use of performance enhancing drug is the most serious problem facing sports today. Sports, this doping or this, the use of drugs has become so widespread that, this there are many problems which the present sports is facing, but this drug problem has become so evident. When 37% of adults believe incentive for athletes to earn more money is the main reason why there is use of performance enhancing drugs in professional sports. In professional sports, what happens now, this amateurism which was in existence in the ancient period, now slowly as the time passed by, it is taken over by professionalism. So when the professionalism is involved, a lot of money is involved, lot of incentives are involved. So when a lot of incentives are involved, there is a much more competition among the sports person, so that they can earn much and more money, so that they can live a better life. So 37% adults believe that the reason why these performance enhancing drugs are coming into sports is the main reason behind this is the professionalism in sports, or the introduction of a lot of incentives in sports. Then 52% of adults believe taking performance enhancing drugs is the greatest offense in trying to gain an unfair advantage by an Olympic athlete or team. See, from this, there are two things. See, 30% people, 37% people are saying that people are using drugs because of money is involved. 52% people believe that taking performance enhancing drugs is the greatest offense in trying to gain an unfair advantage. So, but now my point is, If we understand that that is bad, then why are we continuing, right? So what is the confusion? I mean, why these things are happening? Why there are unethical issues, or why there are unethical practice inside the sports? Why when we know what is wrong, why we are not choosing the path of honesty, right? What are the reason? Now what are the confusion? Let us find out what are the ethical dilemmas. Now the first ethical dilemma means confused. I mean confusion. See, when you are standing at a point wherein you have an option to take the right decision, right, which is good for sports, which is good for you, but at the same time you also have an option to choose which will give you a lot of money, lot of name and fame. So this is a situation which creates a confusion within you. That means you are into a dilemma now. You are confused which decision you should take. Like for an example, first point is sportsmanship or gamesmanship. This means sportsmanship is for the people who are supporting the sportsmanship. For them the more important thing is, or the more rather most important thing is participation. I mean, they want to participate in different games and sports. Winning or losing, of course it holds a value, but that's not everything. That's not everything for which a sportsman is, or an athlete is participating in games and sports. That is called as your sportsmanship. Rather, whereas gamesmanship is, they are the kind of athlete who want to win at any cost. So when you are standing at a point, like whether you should be playing to win the game, or you should give importance to participation, and you should go you should be practicing good things in your games and sports. So that is one confusion, first confusion. Second dilemma is duty to yourself or team or your sport. Suppose for an example, if there are two batsmen, one batsman is playing on suppose one batsman has scored 96. If he goes for a 4, he will be completing one century. And but the team needs 5 runs to win, and there is another opponent who is batting at the other end of the wicket. Now whether he has to go for the 4, or he has to give a chance to his teammate to score the century. Now this is a scenario where you are confused between the duty to yourself, your team, or your sport. What's that one? This is like about sledging, whether sledging has to be permitted, whether sledging is good enough or legal enough to be used in games and sports, supporting and exploiting sport, report, help, or ignore. Yes, this is one thing which has to be more focused upon. Like whether whenever you see a wrong practice going on inside your team, or maybe you have seen one of your athlete administering taking drugs, performance enhancing drugs, whether you should report to your coach, or whether you should help him, or you should not neither help nor report, you just ignore it, right? That is the next dilemma. Next dilemma is coping with parental pressure. Coping with parental pressure means sometimes what happens, the reason why an individual is participating in a game and sports, the what happens, the reason is their parent is forcing him to participate. Because I have seen many places, I have seen a few athletes who all are coming into sports because in present day our Indian government is paying a lot of incentives for the people who all are participating in games and sports. And that is why many parents, many people I have seen, they are using their children, like to gain the incentive, so that you can but that is wrong. You I mean, when an athlete is not interested in sports, when his parents are forcing him to participate in sports, so that will end up in very unethical in many unethical practices. Because the parents objective is something else, the child is not interested to participate in sports. So there will be definitely some ethical issues. Last thing is slippery slope with supplements. That means there are whenever you are using different supplements, there will be that there will be so many health hazards. There are chances of being caught. Once you are caught, you will be ripped of all the medals, all the incentive, all the awards that you have gained out because of that. So these are various ethical dilemma activities which are present in the modern days. The purpose of sports for many is to win, but we need to reinforce that the manner in which this objective is achieved is also very important. Now, ethical decision making framework. Now, during this framework, what we have to do is, first thing is, the most important thing is, you have to find out first, you have to ask yourself, like, what are the confusion, like what are the choices that I have available, like you have to ask yourself, what are the confusions, what are the dilemmas, and what are the choices that are available to you. Once you have decided this, once you have asked yourself what the confusion or the dilemma is, then we proceed to the next step. The next step is, consider the most important things you need to recognize in yourself. See, there may be so many things, like suppose for an example, I may be a coach and a father at the same time. That means, if I have to be loyal to my son, I have to be loyal to my job, right? At the same, that means my son is my son is but doing basketball, and I'm the coach of the basketball team. So here what happens, there is a role conflict. That means, I want my son to participate, to represent the state, or maybe to represent the country, but at the same time, I also know that there are much better players than him. So here there is a role conflict. There is a conflict between me being loyal to my son, me being honest to my duty. So in this case, I have to decide what is my priority, what I should do. So consider the most important things you need to recognize in yourself. Then the third step, now you have decided, your priorities have been decided. Now the third step is, it is time to judge your options and make a decisions. Right now, you have decided your priorities. On the basis of priorities, you have to take a decision, like on the basis of the present demand, you have to judge your options and you have to make a decision. Now, commit to action. Remember that the choice you have made is just the beginning. The final and often most difficult part is acting on your choice consistently, right? Always assess how your decision turned out and what you learned from it. So these are the 4 different steps, or which is called as, decision making framework, or ethical decision making framework. So whenever you are, as a physical education teacher, your role is not only to not only to promote games and sports or a good health. You also will have to promote or build a strong foundations for life by focusing on 3 things. First thing is participation. Next one is integrity. Third one is performance. Yes, of course, performance is required, but your priority in life has to be, the participation is much more important than performance. But achieving performance or excelling in an unethical way should be avoided in all possible ways. Rather, a physical education teacher should be focusing on participation with integrity and achieving performance in a better way or in an ethical way. So this is all for today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for hearing.
Thank you, sir. A wonderful presentation by you on ensuring continuity in sports ethics decision making. A wonderful presentation. Uh, with that, we have some questions from our participants. If you are willing, can we ask some questions in behalf of participants?
Yes, yes, sir. Please.
Uh,
Yeah.
a question is from Wajid Bashir. He asks, as a physical education teacher, can we control the intrinsic factors for motivation at certain instance? Can I repeat this one?
No, that's fine. I'll answer. Okay, sir, this is a quite genuine question, but I would like to address this in 2 different ways. It depends on which class students you are teaching. If you are dealing with the adolescents, right, for them, because adolescent is the time, where you can make use of more extrinsic motivations, right? If you are dealing with the children, you have to start with extrinsic motivation, right? But the intrinsic motivation, once a child understands the benefits, or the child understands the objective why he is into sports, then slowly what will happen, the extrinsic motivation can be converted to intrinsic motivation, or the focus can be converted from the external sources to the internal sources. But if you are using all these skills if you are teaching or dealing with the small children, like up to 10th standard or maybe up to 12th standard, then whatever you should focus on extrinsic motivation, and thereby, after they have reached their adolescence, when they have the maturity to understand the benefits, to understand the gains and loss of participating in sports, then what happens, you can slowly convert the focus from extrinsic sources to intrinsic source, right? But in the initial phases, you have to rely more on extrinsic motivation.
Unknown question is there, sir. Name is not mentioned. He is from, yeah, name is there. Um, Showakt Ali from Sopur. He asks how we can stimulate the competition goal with the performance goal as well as a process goal, he says. Then will it make an impact on the motivation of an individual or a team?
Okay, so so he is asking about how can we
Like how to stimulate the competition goals.
how to stimulate the
Yes.
competition goals. Okay, see, the for stimulating the competition goals, that's what I told you. See, the one which you are telling about competition goal is called as your, otherwise termed as your long term goals, right? Or the goals which you are saying that practice goals are called as your short term goals. So as I told you, whenever you are going on achieving the short term goals or the practicing goals, suppose for an example, you have fixed up a target. Okay, by the end of this week, we should be able to do these things. So if you are making your athlete clear, like if you are giving feedback to your athlete, regular feedback and evaluation, if you are doing it, then what will happen is your athlete will know that how much is his effort, उसने कहाँ तक अचीव किया है during the practice, और उसने कहाँ तक अचीव किया है during your short term goals. And thereby what happens, ये छोटे छोटे milestone आप जब achieve करके चलेंगे, then definitely your athlete will be motivated and he will remain intact in practice, thereby giving best result during your competition. So मेरा simple answer to your question is, you fix up a goal, fix up a long term goal, and at the same time focus on the achievement of the short term goals. When you go on achieving the short term goals, ultimately your long term goal will be achieved. Yes, the word of caution is, if there is some problem, that has to be addressed immediately. And how you have to find out the problem? Only by talking, giving feedback, and having a one-on-one talk with your athlete.
Thank you, sir. One more question. Usha Rani asks, what is extrinsic motivation? Uh,
Uh, okay, no problem. Extrinsic motivation is like, when extrinsic, the word, if you understand the extrinsic, extra, that means external, something external. So the motivation is, the force which guides or which guides your behavior towards achievement of it. Extrinsic motivation is when your behavior is guided towards a particular goal, but the source is lying outside your body, right? So for an example, if suppose you want to achieve a gold medal in the state meet. Now, whatever training you are doing, whatever behavior you are showing, that is completely controlled by your thought or the thought of that medal in state meet. So the reason why, or the source or the control of your behavior is lying with the thought of that medal. So this kind of motivation wherein the control is lying outside your body, who is controlling your behavior, that kind of motivation is called as your extrinsic motivation.
uh, Question is from Ranu Tapol, sir. How to come out of trite anxiety?
How
Come
to
out of trite anxiety. Yes.
trait anxiety. Okay, this is coming out of trait anxiety. As I told you, this unfortunately this trait anxiety is more more of permanent, right? So this trait anxiety can be dealt with or can be treated with the help of some kind of clinical psychologist. You go to them, they will talk to you, but there are the chances of completely removing it from your personality, or it is completely recovering it is not possible. yes, it can be controlled, it can be reduced up to a certain extent by making use of certain psychological skill trainings. And like for an example, imagery you can use. Like there is one thing called as VMBR, visual motor behavior rehearsal. By using that also you can control. The best thing is imagery, meditation, breathing control. By using all those things, you can control it, but you cannot completely remove it because it is there. You see why the name is given trait anxiety, because it is a part of his or her personality. It is a part of, it is a characteristics in the personality, right? So it can be completely, cannot be completely removed or cured. Yes, it can be controlled to a great extent by making use of techniques like imagery, your meditation, like your thought stopping, like your breathing techniques. It can be used.
Thank you, sir. Khurshid Ahmad asked that what is the difference between psychology and sports psychology? Uh,
What
whether
is the difference between?
difference between psychology and a sports psychology means he is
Okay.
asking a difference between a general
Okay,
psychology.
okay, I got it. I got it. See, the difference between psychology and sports psychology is like this. Psychology is a pure, concept. It's a pure science, and the sports psychology is the study of human behavior in a sports setting, like how an athlete will behave in a sports situation in a competition, how an athlete behaves in sports in a training scenario. So basically, it is the sports psychology is the study of two things. One thing is how sports is affecting the personality aspect or the cognitive aspect of an individual, or how an individual's psychology or the way of his personality is fitting into different games and sports. Right. So when we are talking about psychology, it is just simply the study of behavior, right? The scientific study of human behavior. But when we are talking about sports psychology, when the psychological principles are applied into a sports setting or applied on athletes to understand, or coaches to understand their psyche, their mental aspect, that is called as sports psychology.
Same one more question is there from Rakesh Kumar Gupta. Again, he asked
Hmm.
what is the difference between principles and ethics? Any difference is there, or it is one and the same?
Okay. See, the principles and ethics, these two things, I mean, these two things are, completely different altogether. See, principles, essentially are the guidelines. They are like, they are the, guidelines that you need to follow to achieve something. Principles are guidelines. But ethics are, they are, it is like the police, or it's like, these are the, different things which you should be ideally be doing it, right? So ethics is what ideally is you should be doing, what ideally or socially expected way of behaving, or how honestly or how loyally you are expected to behave. But these principles are guidelines what you should follow to achieve something.
Thank you, sir. Question is anonymous. Uh, whether there is any a difference between ethics and strategies or tactics?
See, these ethics and strategies are different things. Strategies are like, they are strategies are like, how they are different way of doing, exhibiting your skill or exhibiting your technique. That's altogether different. Ethics, as I told you, these are the socially, I mean, accepted way of participating in competition, or maybe socially accepted way of training or doing some kind of physical activity. So that's
Sir, whether this ethics, sorry, tactics affects the ethics?
no. See, ethics is not affected by your tactics. When having said that, if you're see, whenever you are planning to win a game, see, tactics is nothing but it is just a game plan of how you are going to use your techniques and your trainings in a most effective way, so that you win the match, right? But at the same time, the ethics is right for anything. For winning a match, there is a right way, there is a wrong way. There is a way which is socially accepted within the frames of all the rules and regulations. There is another way also uh, which is an dishonest way, which is not accepted or expected in a social setting. Like for an example, you can win by training, by doing rigorous training. At the same time, you can also win by taking drugs and taking some supplements, right? So when you are taking some supplements and taking some additional drugs or performance enhancement drugs, participating and winning it, that is not ethically good. That is not ethically permitted. But tactics is altogether different. Tactics is how effectively you are planning or you are completely using your ability, your training, your technical ability, all those things to win them. So there is a difference between ethics and tactics.
Question is from my side.
Yeah, yeah, sir.
Um, there is a rule that in cricket, when you cross, if a bowler touches that bells, then a player will be out. So sometimes what happens, before a bowling only they will cross it. So a bowler utilizes that situation to make him out. So if he makes him out, that is as per the rule, that is out. But as per the ethics, whether it is right or wrong, they say that that is not as per the ethics, but still the rule says that that is out. He follows a rules and he utilizes that rule as in for his own benefit. That comes under this tactics. So here आप समझ सकते हैं, इसको हम टैक्टिक्स ही बोल सकते हैं या अगेंस्ट टू एथिक्स. अगर अगेंस्ट टू एथिक्स है तो उसको स्पोर्ट्स में क्यों रखा गया उसको?
Okay. Sir, as I told you, you are referring to Ravichandra Ashwini's case, right? Ashwini, when he was going for bowling, that one batsman just went out of the crease and he just claimed for the wicket. See, when it is there in the rules and regulations, okay, if he did that, he used the rule. He used, as I told you, it is not unethical. According to me, it is not unethical, because once it is well inside the rules and regulations, it is completely well and good. See, there were many critics who criticized him for doing that, right? But if my point is, if we really want to prevent that, if we really consider that to be unethical, then that thing should be removed from the rules and rules book. It should not be permitted, it should not be there. But if you check the rules of cricket, the different types about this monkeying out is also a type of out, right? So see sir, I will refer to another thing also. When a match was going between Australia and another team, I really don't know against whom they were playing, but that time nowhere in the rule book it was written that under arm bowling is not allowed. Nowhere it is written. So that is why what happened, there was a bowler from Australian team, I guess. So it was the last ball, 2 runs were required, right? So what he did is he just went and rolled the ball, underarm rolled the ball to the batsman, and the ball was counted, but the team lost. See, that is unethical. That means there what happened, he didn't give a chance to the other batsman to participate. So there was nothing. So it is being unethical or something, it is like individual choice. So from our Ashwini's that case, that this thing came into practice. We realized that, okay, by doing so, everybody felt bad. But my point is, if we are feeling bad about it, why not remove it? Once we remove it, because ultimately we are here for the betterment of the sports. Okay, so if our Ashwini has done that, okay, according to him, he made use of the rules and regulations. So within the rules and regulations, if he has done it, then there is no issue. This is what is I
Yeah.
feel.
Suppose a player utilizes the rules for his own benefits, whether that comes under the ethics.
Yeah, that's what, sir, I told you in the very beginning when we are talking about dilemma. First, the one thing I told you, between the sports mindset and games mindset. When, see, you will not use all these things if for you sportsmanship is more important, for you participation or the game is more important. If for you the winning the game is most important thing, if you are more of a champion, you know we're focusing on winning, then definitely we will go for this. And once we go for this, if it is well within the rules and regulations, that's okay, that's fine. That you are not cheating. Your behavior, your everything is within the games and rules and regulations. But these days, whatever you are saying, if it is not there inside in the rules, or if it is not there in the regulations, then people are the rules have become very strict. Like spitting was very common in football. Now, but in the present days, you can't spit, you can abuse, you can't remove your t-shirt, I mean jersey. Okay, so if it is well within the rules and regulations, that's fine. If it is not, then it's an ethical issue.
Thank you, sir. Your presentation, as well as the way you have answered all these questions, so wonderful, informative with us. I hope all our participants will carry this knowledge, and they will put in these knowledge in their field practically. And uh, for your valuable presentation, I thank on behalf of Ministry Youth Affairs and Sports, Hello India, Sai LNCP, and on behalf of our Dr. G. Kishore sir, Principal, I thank you for your presence and for your valuable presentations on this session. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Harish,
Yes, sir.
feedbacks, please.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Thank you, sir.